There we go. Better? Cool. Blaming you for that one, Daniel, not to turning off your mic. Cool. Everyone, welcome to today. And firstly, before I kick off, I just wanted to give a quick shout out and thanks to obviously Sean, Sam, and Scott from the Ministry of Sport and everyone from the University of Queensland as well. Look, today I basically wanted to continue on from Daniel's points, which was basically he was a one-man SWAT team building relationships from the ground up. In terms of that connection, where I wanted to follow on from here was what I really wanted to talk about today was connection, innovation, and delivery. Being in this room right now, I know all of you do these three things, and you know, depending on what line of work you're in, some of these can always be valued a little bit more than the other. So who am I, quickly? My name's Debs Majumdar, and I'm the commercial manager at Fox Sports. So Scott, not too far off, not quite the head of digital, but I do report into the head of digital. So this is usually the part where I put up a boring headshot, but I thought being in this kind of room, a handstand in the middle of Allianz Stadium was more appropriate. I'm absolutely thrilled and honoured to be here today because this is one of the few conferences that I get to speak at every year where I'm in a room full of innovators and actual change makers. So after all, do you know what? You and I are actually quite similar. You see, our industries have never been in more of a disruptive state, to be honest. We know, though, if we keep listening to our customers and actually doing something about it, responding to them, we'll stay relevant and prosper. So really, today, I wanted to showcase some of the wins that we've had at Fox Sports, but more importantly, why we scored them and how. It's all good and well just to get those wins by luck, but of course, I wanted to go a little bit deeper. Super quick, I just wanted to reiterate that even though we're the leading sports broadcaster in the country, being agile and innovative is basically in our lifeblood. There's no room for complacency in our business, and I guarantee you there's no room for it in yours either. I mentioned before that you and I are actually quite similar, and the reason I say this is because we always go to work every day trying to do two particular things. One of them, let's try again. One of them, I'm going to try that again let's try it again. The first thing we do is solve problems, let's face it. We solve it by delivering our products and services to our customers. And then do you know what else we do on the way is, of course it was going to do that, that's all right. While we're solving those problems, we emotionally connect with our customers as well. Why? Because we want them to keep coming back. Oh, this thing's wigging out a little bit, that's all right. At Fox Sports, we have a vested interest in making sports even bigger and better in this country. In our humble population of about 20 odd million, 9 million of those use the internet to always feel connected to sport. Would you believe that this amounts up to about 60 million cumulative hours per week? And of course, 3.5 million prefer to have a second device while watching sport. And of course, why wouldn't you? And would you believe in our population, about a quarter of us prefer the in-home experience as opposed to the stadium. So it's imperative that we're always bringing fans closer to the game. And of course, our fanaticism rate ranks within the top 10 of the world's economies, coming in close behind when you look at the likes of Russia, Daniel, and of course, India and Spain. You know what? We punch well above our weight when it comes to clubs and sporting leagues as well. We rank 4th when it comes to revenue per capita. That's pretty impressive when you consider the international juggernauts like the EPL and the NFL with massive fan bases. But do you know what? Fox Sports has a very, very important role to play in that. You see, we're always listening to our fans and responding in kind. We're always trying to bring them closer to the game like never before. We're listening and responding. But do you know what? That always makes us a little bit uncomfortable. See, for example, sorry, I just lost where I was from. Every day we're listening to our fans and subsequently bringing them closer to the game. It obviously does make us uncomfortable, but in a good way. You see, we learned our fans are highly engaged, but they're severely time poor. Our data shows that they own up to 4 connected devices, but they're very, very easily distracted. and they love a full 90-minute spectacle. But do you know what? Others just prefer the moments that matter, a try, a goal, a penalty, or a controversy. And above all else, they demand their content on the go at a competitive price point to boot. And whether they're a fanatic or a faller, they just want to be entertained in the process. So at Fox Sports, we can't rest on our laurels, so cue innovation. We experiment, we build, we test, we learn, we rinse, repeat. And do you know what? When we're not the experts, we partner with businesses who are. Right from our broadcast experiences through to our on-air graphics, even our commentators calling it from the sidelines. Innovation isn't just a corporate buzzword that we throw around, but it's actually baked into our core values and it underpins every single thing we do.
Out with the old, it's in with the new. Let the revolution begin. I want it all. I want it all. I want it all. And I want it now. How much fun would that be now?
Exactly what the Australian public need to see.
Getting access to the Australian cricket rooms.
Had the opportunity to play with my little mate here again. Little mate.
Magic Door, a man who reaches great heights.
Here this weekend at the Grand Prix, back in Victory Lane. How's it feel?
Camera will affectionately caught over. Rightio, here we go.
Up the gun! No bullshit. Go on, Jane.
Things are really heating up now. You can hear the chant.
Only Bob Marley could find grass in that.
There's no cliches.
Coming from you, you're the kid.
No more ads, baby.
So you would have noticed that second last frame, right? It said sport like never before. They're four very simple words, but broken down, it's one noun, one preposition, and two adverbs. To be realistic, it's a fucking bold mission statement. Sorry, Bernie. I did mention that I would swear just in that part only. But it's not one we take lightly, and it's definitely one that we're very committed to deliver. You see, the best sport businesses understand that to prosper, you need to entertain, and you need to create an atmosphere that best reflects the strengths of the sport. For example, look at the UFC. There's so much passion, there's so much tribalism, and that's well before punches are even thrown. And last but not least, you need to appeal to the base of human desire to belong. Attention is one of our most precious of commodities, and that's because these days a person only has so much of it. So how really do you take these two very paradoxical issues and make them work? So for example, using the image behind me, to put this in perspective, if we didn't solve this problem, and it was a customer problem with a capital P, it would have been a problem for our bottom line. Attention, or a lack thereof, let's say that's the one, that's the guy in the white trunks, and the passion and tribalism that brings sports fans together, that's the tattooed guy. In late 2018, we launched KO, Australia's first streaming sports service. This was an instance where we married up the passionate sports fan and the attention deficit and delivered sport like never before, but this time we injected steroids into it. Look, some say it was Netflix for sport, but call it what you will. This was us at its core, listening to what our customers wanted, and we responded in kind, and we actually did something about it. We gifted them a product which solved their problems in a frictionless experience, all at a great price point. Multi-platform streaming, 50 sports, live replays, condensed clips, spoiler-free, split view, and a whole lot more. Do you know what? Those sport coverage has experienced a real seismic shift over the what to now the why and the how. See, it would be lazy of us just to tell fans just what happened. They have eyes, ears, and a brain, and anyone with half of those things can basically figure out what's going on, let's be honest. Fans don't demand to know the why and the how, but they just expect it. And do you know what? If their expectations can't be met, let's be realistic. We live in a world now where customers have an endless arsenal of choice, where basically they'll vote with their feet and they won't think twice about joining your competitor. And they definitely won't think about coming back in a heartbeat. I never thought I'd meet a more passionate sport contingent until I learned about the world of V8 supercars. Our motorsport fans are switched on, savvy, and it was our job to revolutionise this coverage, not only in Australia, but also set the benchmark globally. You see, we partnered with the virtual eye, which basically overlaid 3D graphics over every single course, every single driver, and every single car to go into more detail around predictive driver runs and the most optimal way forward.
Now, one of the tools that we've got for the weekend, we just went and had a little expose of Larko in his tech centre, but Neil and I are going to use the virtual eye, which, as you pick up there, the red line, is the perfect run from Scott McLaughlin's qualifying lap last year. And we were able to see history being made in that qualifying top 10 shootout. Conversely, we've also seen some mistakes that have been made in qualifying. And this one was Chaz Mostert. Now check this out. This is great technology. And right there is where he made contact with the left-hand wall and pinballed himself into the right-hand fence. And there's the red line versus the blue line, which is the difference between the way the cars come off the dipper, and bang. And the result is one of the biggest incidents we've ever seen at Mount Panorama. It does show, we talk risk versus reward all the time, that's a classic case of the smallest mistake in qualifying having catastrophic circumstances.
Dean Canto was the first to have a really big moment here on Thursday. I mean, it was trying testing conditions. You can see how wet it was, and he just lost his way. And that was a huge moment, and they did a fantastic job to be able to get that car back out for the next practice session.
I'll have a listen. It actually hits quite hard, Jess. The way that the car runs into Forest Elbow, so he got a little bit wide. One of the real dangers around this place is when it does start to dry out, there's a dry line, which is the green line that he was supposed to be on. He got a little bit wide and then picked up on our virtual eye technology there on the red line, which that means it's wet. You're on a slick tyre, it's glassy, it's wet, it's got no grip, and there you go. There's the contact. It actually made contact quite hard. I didn't think it hit that hard at the start, but it actually backed itself in there pretty fast.
So now I know I'm at a tech conference, so it'd be very remiss of me now not to be at one of these conferences and talk about artificial intelligence. So last year, we were awarded the rights to the cricket. So this was for the sports fans out there, this was a sport that was very tightly held by Channel 9 for nearly 30 odd years. So nearly an entire generation of cricket fans always associated cricket with Channel 9. But this didn't scare us, of course, because you know what we were going to do? Cricket like never before. So it was ripe for the picking. Okay, fine. So you might want to know, how does this actually relate to AI? Are there any cricket fans in the room right now? All right, not too bad. So my question to you is, can AI predict the fall of wickets before they happen? And especially for those cricket lovers out there, in such a statistically complex sport like cricket, could it actually work? So unashamedly, we weren't the experts on AI, so we partnered with Mindshare and Google, who were. For the test series, we created Monty, and it was dubbed as the greatest cricketing mind ever. So Monty was essentially the culmination of two things: machine learning and data. So how much data exactly? Well, to be exact, 83 primary data points. So it considered a number of factors, right? Factors which would have affected the batsman's control, which would invariably affect his or her performance at the crease. For example, things like the weather conditions, moisture, humidity levels, precipitation, and of course visibility. The pitch, the protected area, for example, a sticky wicket, whether it was flat, bouncy, or patchy. The time of day played a huge role as well, of course, if it was before or after the drinks break, or if it was leading into the afternoon. And finally, the type of bowler, pace, spinners, left arm, right arm, orthodox, the list just goes on. So taking this into account, Monty was powered by machine learning, where it studied and stored the test career history of every single test batsman over by over. So I want to put this in perspective using someone you all know. That's Virat Kohli. He's India's captain and arguably a once-in-a-generation player, a real danger man. So Monty analysed his 6,000 odd runs in his test career right from his 2011 debut against the West Indies. So it looked a little like this. 6,000 runs, 4,500 of those as captain, 131 innings, just shy of 12,000 balls, 750 boundaries, and funnily enough, 8 ducks. Seriously, out of 11,500 balls, he got out for 0. That's pretty impressive. So where to from here, right? So for one game, it would have looked a little like this, and I want to get just a little bit nerdy. This is using the Pareto principle, whereby we were employing the 80-10-10 rule here. Monty trained, tested, and validated this process for every batsman for every over of their entire test career. Okay, so now you've got the 83 data points and all the historical batsman stats. Monty was charged up and ready to go. So here's where the road really hit the rubber. Could our business now trust a machine over, say, Shane Warne to predict a wicket? And if we did, could we take a punt on Monty talking to our customers? Our product team deemed if Monty had a statistical probability exceeding 80% likelihood that a wicket was going to fall, well, we would roll the dice as well. So we hooked it up to our notification API on our Fox Cricket app. So this meant, and I'm going to nerd out a little bit here, so if Monty predicted that there was a probability that was greater or equal to 80%, we would automatically send a notification to our app telling customers that a wicket was going to fall within a matter of minutes. So we may have hedged our bets, but it was a bet nonetheless. So it was Boxing Day, the Boxing Day test, 2018, day 1, a great day for cricket. Monty's radar was pinging at 84% probability and smelt blood. At around 5 p.m, nearly 3 hours at the crease, Monty predicted that Mayan Agarwal's time was coming to an end. We sent out the notification and held our breath. I'm just going to read this out for you. The pressure's mounting now, and Monty, our new experimental AI bot, thinks there's a high chance of a wicket within the next 5 minutes. Tune in and find out. That was a bit of a punt because we sent this out to a fair few thousand customers, and if there was no wicket, there were going to be a lot of disappointed customers. But we did word it in a way to hedge our bets, like I said. But guess what? 9 minutes later, and he was caught behind for 76. Not too bad. And you know what? Our fans absolutely loved it. This person from India here was saying, I hope it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. So get this right. That was great. He picked a wicket. I'm saying he, it could have been a she as well, even though we called it Monty. But the data really scared us, and I want to show you this graph here because it would be remiss of me again not to show you a graph. The white bars show the percentage probability. That green line shows 80%. So he was right, Monty was right 2 out of 2 times in terms of predicting that wicket. But as you can see here, when there was low probability, there were wickets as well. So fine, it can't be right 100% of the time. But get this, at 33%, it actually picked 3 out of 3 of those wickets as well. So who knows, maybe we could one day move into a world where we know the fall of wickets before they even happen. But let's take this even further, right? Imagine a world where we could overlay this type of AI and roll it out to other codes. For example, in tonight's Origin, are we going to know whether New South Wales are going to score a try when they're in the final 30 metres with less than 3 tackles in? I hope so. Or even when Ash Barty would steal another Grand Slam after just winning a single set. But do you know what? For now, we'll refine it with cricket. And like with any other technology, we'll test, we'll learn, we'll iterate, we'll repeat till our customers tell us that we've got it right, not when we feel we've got it right. But do you know what? Cricket wasn't all AI and Shane Warne. We didn't over-engineer it, but what we did was we found a gap where customers were begging for something different, something better, and something special. And we did this by emotionally connecting with them. We brought fans closer to the game with no ad breaks, meaning we'd never cut to an ad break, keeping them hooked all the time. Technology obviously played a huge part, but we used it effectively, not for just the sake of it. Our Fox Rover and our Flying Fox gave fans a different perspective of the game. And of course, our Fox Streaker app, which we launched, which lived inside our Fox Cricket app. It was essentially like a Trivia HQ style game, which incentivized customers to keep up their hot streak in a bid to win 10 grand and a whole bunch of signed merchandise. See, for us, innovation wasn't about reinventing the wheel, but it was rather challenging the past and breaking the rules and not apologising for it.
Welcome to Fox Cricket. Cricket like never before.
Rightio, here we go.
Two very proud, passionate nations who share one obsession.
It's not a chance.
Been a masterclass in mind and skill.
Wow, there's really been a broadcast like it, has there?
Straight through India and fired back.
It has been like never before. The vision, the sounds. Could get the wicket here if he just lands this last one. He's built it up beautifully.
There you go, there you go. You've got it, Shane Warne.
Oh, look at that. Look at the triceps and the arms on this man. Stoyan, you're looking good today.
Yeah, just ready to have some fun.
I need to show you this guy. He's an extraordinary little camera. Just stop, Rover, stop.
He's bowled very fast. He's swung in as well, so...
Probably just try and test his defence.
So you can see here, this is what Usman Khawaja would have been seeing.
Definitely out. Only Bob Marley could find grass in that.
He's been sitting on that line for 3.5 years. Every ball's a story now.
It's raining sixes.
It's in the box.
Get any bigger. The Hulk's off and running again.
Thank you very much. What a cracker.
We are Fox Cricket.
We also cut some pretty good show reels as well, just in case you hadn't noticed. Look, for some of you who were paying attention, yeah, do you know what? Shane Warne did actually predict 1 wicket during the whole series. But as a business, it was a lot easier to trust him than a machine. So anyhow, I know some of you will be pitching later this afternoon, and good luck. I'm hoping I've at least given you something to think about when it comes to that fan and customer engagement, of course. Because after all, if you don't have fans and customers at the centre of your thinking, to be quite honest and brutally honest, you're not in the business of sport. Our customer needs to be at the centre of everything we do and absolutely not an afterthought. I just want to break character just for a moment here and forget about the hype reels, the technology, the personalities and everyone, and leave you with a quote, not from a fan or an influencer, but Maya Angelou. After all, we're all in the business of emotionally connecting with fans and customers. Do you know what? People will always forget what you said. They'll definitely forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. Emotionally connect with your customers and make them feel your product or services. Give them hope and genuinely solve their problems, because they're the ones who will not only help keep you in business and yield dividends by continuing to buy what you have to sell, not because they have to, but because you eventually made that emotional connection. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Debs.